me Z and T, cause I'm the best in the game. I got the fame, the style that isn't lame.
Hey, is there a cassette tape anywhere?
I sure do. This cassette is the best, I can attest. Best cassette in the east to the west. Yeah, I ain't a rapper. This cassette's dapper. I'm no capper.
Okay, do you mind if I take that off your hands?
Yeah, sure.
Alright, thank you.
No problem, bro.
And this is this week's Closet Classics.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Burlington and Beyond. My name is Adam, and for the next hour, Adam Sinesi, and for the next hour, I'll be leading a discussion with our distinguished panel. To my left is my good friend and sidekick for the next hour, Pat Moreno.
Thank you.
And to my right, in order, is Christine Brown of the Rec Department,
Hi, Adam.
Town Moderator Sally Willard, and Martha Simon from the School Board. Thank you, ladies, for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us.
So one thing that we can agree on is this, as far as women in politics go, this is a year, whether you agree with Hillary Clinton's politics or not, that's a whole nother show, but it's monumental to have a woman as a major party candidate. It's the first time in United States history that such a thing has happened, and that is something to be celebrated regardless. It's not if America's ready for a female president, it's more of a question of why has it taken so long. I have a daughter, you have a daughter, we both married women, we came from women. It's time to get women more involved in politics. And I credit these women to the right of me for getting involved at the local level. So tell me, I guess I'll start with Christine.
Okay.
What prompted you to get involved?
I was a stay-at-home mom, wasn't working at the time. I ran for town meeting, didn't get elected to town meeting. Then a recreation position opened up, and I knew Karen Hoyt, and she had talked to me about it, and I was interested. It aligned with what I did for work. I'm an athletic trainer, so the sports and recreation athletics, it all sort of worked together, and it was a way to give back to the community, stay active, keep my resume kind of current, and then sort of fell in love with it, ran for re-election, and 4 terms later, I'm still here, so, you get the bug, I guess, and you're making a difference in town, so it's important. And recreation serves everybody in the community. It's an important part of Burlington. It's one of the showcase pieces of Burlington, I think, so it's just been nice to stay involved with it and watch it grow.
I would definitely agree that recreation in Burlington is part of the fabric of this community, and I do think your department does the best job. I've heard some people say it's one of the best in the state. Fortunately, since I've been a homeowner, I've only lived in Burlington, and I think it's just fantastic, and I'm very happy with what your board offers to the community. Sally, now I know congratulations, you're actually the first woman moderator in Burlington, if I'm correct.
Yes. Our surrounding towns, at least Lexington and Bedford, have had women moderators for a long time, but I was the first in Burlington.
Do you think that I feel like a good portion of your job is to ultimately moderate many different personalities of a pretty boisterous group, as both me and Pat are town meeting members, and I look around the room there. I mean, there are a lot of boisterous people amongst us.
Well, it's really conducting a meeting and just making sure that people who want an opportunity to speak have the opportunity to speak, and that those people who would go on know that they have to come back on topic or sit down.
Okay.
And so it's conducting a meeting, only in this case it can be a fairly tense and sometimes heated discussion.
Yeah, no, but I think in general, I feel like we do the people's business we do the business of the people, and I feel more often than not the conversations go in good ways, and it is a respectful exchange amongst the members of town meeting. Now, Martha, one thing that I find particularly interesting about your board is that, for example, the Board of Selectmen, it's probably been 10 years since we've seen a woman elected to the Board of Selectmen.
That's right.
Now, your board seems to be the exception that upon you taking your seat on the, on the school board, you actually flipped the makeup of the school board, so it now is it's the one board in town that's predominantly, I guess, the Board of
Majority.
Assessors.
Oh, okay.
Board of Assessors also, but
Okay.
it's one of the two boards that is a majority female.
That's right. That's right.
So, how does that make you feel? Why do you think that the school board has been possibly more fertile ground for women to succeed in?
Well, I didn't run for school committee because I thought we needed another woman on the board. I ran for school committee because I had retired from full-time teaching, and I wasn't getting up to go to work at 7:15 in the morning anymore. I didn't actually run for town meeting until after I didn't have to get up to go to work at 7:15 in the morning. My kids are grown and out of the house now, and so I didn't feel I had the psychic energy to take on something else when my kids were growing up, when I was working full-time, and then I was working half-time. So I thought about how I could give back to the community, and I actually put my name in and to be appointed on the planning board, and someone else was chosen. And then there was a position that was not being contested on the school committee. And given that I was a teacher for 38 years and I worked with kids of all different kinds, whether they were honors students or working with kids who with real struggles with learning and everything in between, I felt like I had a lot to offer. And so a year ago I was elected to the school committee. I think that, you know, the school committee in Burlington, if I don't know all the history, but I know that Christine Monaco's been on it for many years. But I believe that for many years it was only her in terms of women. I think the school committee is a place where women are more likely to be attracted because it's the schools, it's the kids. So I think it fits into the stereotypes of where women's interests might be. And so maybe that's why there's a
nurturing effect.
Yeah. On the other hand, both Christine Monaco and Kristen Russo are prior teachers or future teachers, depending on which one you're talking about.
I have to say, I didn't realize the three of you have been town meeting members.
I wasn't.
Oh.
You weren't? Oh, I thought you said you. Oh,
I
I'm
ran.
sorry.
I
Oh,
didn't
okay.
get elected.
Okay.
That was my
Okay.
first.
Try again.
Yep.
Well,
Now I got elected.
Yeah, she's busy.
contributing in a good
Oh no,
fashion.
she's more than contributing. I even listened to my wife when we talked about this before. The rec department is just absolutely terrific. It's known in the area for its successes and the extent of the program. I wonder, how long have you been in Burlington, if I can ask?
Yeah, we've lived here for 24 years. So I raised my kids here, but I didn't grow up here.
Yeah. Sally, how long?
30 years.
30 years. And Christine?
We've been here 18 years. So this is
18.
where we wanted to have our family.
Yeah.
So
How do you feel about Burlington in terms of what you see happening, the changes, actually, I guess, the future? You know, we've come a long, long way. I think you probably will all agree, but what do you think is out there in the near future for Burlington? I say that especially looking at some of the housing that is being replaced. Are we becoming one of the elite communities? I don't, maybe that's not the right word, but there are lots of big new homes everywhere. Do you feel good about what's happening generally in Burlington?
I'll go on. I do. I mean, there's always going to be change. People, I think, well, Martha and I both started off this morning at a 7:30 master plan steering meeting. So
Yep.
one of our components we do talk about is housing and trying to see where the town is going to go for the next 10 years. So I think we get to see it a little bit more because we are involved with politics. But when you talk to people around town, people generally seem happy. There's always some kind of balance. There's always good and bad to everything. Personally, I think it's nice that people are coming in. I wish I lived in one of those big houses. I don't, but that's what the demand is right now. So I think there's certainly a need for it, and developers, have the right to do it, and that's what homeowners want. I mean, it's a lot different, I guess. I mean, I didn't grow up here, but from what it was, a farming community, a farming town. But I think, we're still capturing that a little bit because we do have the lot sizes and things like that. So, I mean, it is switching over, but, I think change is good in this case.
Are you enjoying the master plan? I mean,
The
putting it
master
together?
plan, it's very interesting because I get to see different departments or boards that I usually don't work with. So, I look at it as a recreations representative, but I also try to look at it as a resident and try to represent constituents I talk to. And there's a lot of opinions out there. Yeah, so I mean, you try to do the best job with balance on it.
It was very interesting. Christine was with us earlier. We talked about with Jonathan Sachs about the possibility of a cultural venue in town, and I think it's terrific. Sally, how do you see Burlington?
Well, the town has changed a bit since I've been here. We have a number of grocery stores now, and in the past we had little choice. I think it's good. I think that in terms of housing stock and the changes, the houses that we live in were built in the 50s when Burlington was building out, and they're 1950s era houses.
Right.
They're
Mine too.
not 21st century houses, and they're in some towns you would be fitting one of the very large house onto a lot that's half the size that we have here. I think there's a lot of good that's happening. I think the problem that I've seen over the years is traffic. I must say that I'm glad that Wegmans opened at 3rd Ave because it makes it very easy for me to get to the grocery store without sitting in traffic anywhere because it's 5 minutes away. So I think for the most part, it's been great.
Good stuff. Yeah. I'm a little concerned about, and I'm sure you people have talked about it, and that is the traffic that is going to come about when 19 and a half finally, they open and in full force. I think it's going to be I hope they're able to resolve it.
I'm excited to see what that becomes, though. I reserve the right to complain about it afterwards, but I'm excited to see what that becomes.
Well, they've proposed something different this week, so we don't know.
They've proposed
I don't think we came to talk about that, but
No,
it's,
but thank you for bringing that to my attention because I'd be interested in checking it out. No, I know that I talked with Christine before the show, and we were talking about how when Christine was in high school, she played basketball, and she gave me a sense that gave her the confidence to put herself out there and run for a school committee. I'm sorry, rec department.
Okay.
Do either of you, and I guess I'll start with Martha, do you have a background in it? Did you do athletics as a youngster, or do you still do athletics? And did that?
Very informally, I was not, that wasn't, a big thing. I participated in intramural kinds of things. But I was a teacher for 38 years, and I had a lot of lots of things that I had to do myself. So, I feel like a confident adult. And I think for me, it's about women finding the time and the energy in their lives to take on the addition of an electoral position, because anybody who's in an elected position in Burlington or anywhere, it takes a lot of time to do it well. And I think that the people we have are committed to that. But for women off in this society, it's been shown that women do more of the housework, that they do, and even though you have the exceptions, that women spend more time on the household things. And even when the kids are grown, if you do have kids, they're taking care of other family members. Often it's the daughter-in-law taking care of the older parents. And so women have been sort of caught in this, well, somebody's got to do this at home, so not being able to go out and do the other things. So to me, it's not about did I have the confidence to do it. I also think that women volunteer in other ways. They might volunteer in the PTO. They might volunteer for their kids' booster club. There are other boards and committees like the Master Plan Steering Committee, which doesn't have a huge number of women, but women are on other boards around town.
Even cheerleaders for their kids.
Yeah, going to those things, and obviously
Someone's gonna pick them up and drop them off.
right, and
yeah.
obviously you see a lot of fathers doing that too, but women, you know, I had a job where I could go in the afternoon, and my husband didn't have a job where he could go in the afternoon and go to those activities. So, I mean, we do have 40%. I was talking to Sally yesterday. 40% of the town meeting members are women. I think that's pretty respectable, and I'm hoping that if you know, as time goes on and women feel more comfortable, that maybe some of those women would feel like they could run for office. As somebody had mentioned before the show, it's been 10 years since we've had a woman on the Board of Selectmen, and you know, I just admire people like Christine and Sonia Rollins who have kids and are, you know, committing themselves to these additional town commitments. And Virginia Mooney, we have to give her a lot of credit. I mean, she's spent a huge amount of time and effort in her life giving back to Burlington, and you know, in a variety of different ways, and really believes in the electoral process. And you know, Virginia, thank you for all you've done for Burlington. You know, and I'm sure there are other people I don't know about that have done it.
It was very heartening to see Virginia receive an applause that was really meaningful at the awards that BCAT had. She's part of the committee, I think, or something.
She's on the board of directors.
Okay, she got up and they really exploded for her, and I thought that was very, very nice.
One great thing about Virginia Mooney too is she always gives Burlington a choice. You always have a choice, and that does hold the selectmen accountable. We've definitely seen, I think there was one year where Virginia Mooney did not run in the past few years, and I don't think that year was contested at all.
Right.
So, I mean, I think I think that's good for the process, and Virginia Mooney really does, in addition to what she does on town meeting and on the board of directors at BCAT, she always gives Burlington a choice. Whether you're willing to cast your vote for her or not, that's your choice. Right. But she always gives you the choice. Right. So,
and actually, that's another issue I think about women running for office, because for me, running for school committee was not because I wanted to get into the fray, and I think probably most women aren't interested in that kind of competitive, head-to-head kind of conflict, and I, you know, and so. You know, if I totally support if somebody's going to run against me in the future, you know, I support the democratic process and having those choices. I'm not against that, but I'm not looking forward to it. That's not, and I don't think anybody really runs because they want to run a campaign.
That's work too.
But it's not. It's a campaign, but it's also a stressor and a tension and a conflict. It's people against each other and having to say why I'm better or you're worse or what I don't like about you or what you should, you know, I hope you'll like about me. So I look forward to when I have to run for re-election, and I hope that if I do have a competitor, that it's a good, open, honest, you know, election, but that's not why I ran for school committee. You know, I ran for school committee to do the work on school committee and to contribute what I felt I could. So,
I get that, and that's really the highest calling as far as this goes. But you hit on a very interesting point, actually, that there is something about men that we are very competitive, and when we do get on town meeting, we get, you know, in town discussions, and maybe is there something beyond the superficial? Is there something that women can contribute because they're more willing to, maybe they're more, in some ways, more level-headed? I don't know. Yes, is there a level of sensitivity
that I think men sort of set aside? Not that they are without, but they set aside and tend to be a little bit more competitive, I think. And
I think
the balance is wonderful. I'm sorry.
I think it might just come out a little bit different. Men, it may come out that they're more competitive. I think certainly women are competitive in our own right, but I think for women it comes out with more passion. You're passionate about something. But I think that's just an adjective they give you. Your passion is something competitive. You're working for a goal, you're trying to get something accomplished. And I just think it comes out a little bit different. But I think it's actually the same characteristic, just a little bit, you know.
I think that women are more collaborative.
Yes.
And I think that's proven by studies that that we tend to want to bring more people into the conversation and not just let someone run the conversation. I think women, research shows that women also tend to be better listeners because they don't want to be the king.
My wife is listening.
Right.
No, I understand, and I agree with you. I think that's very, very valid. I'm wondering about an issue that has come up, has to do with government. Do you think we should stay here in Burlington as a town meeting government? Or have we grown to the point where we should think in terms of a mayor? Is that a difficult, or I don't know, is that something that we should talk about? I don't know. Is it a difficult issue?
Well, I like town meeting because town meeting is it's the truest form of participatory democracy.
Right.
It's the only place that we actually have a say, because anyone can go, although we have representative town meeting, anyone can go and have their say as long as it's on topic. Just don't wander off into something. And it's something that people don't have elsewhere, just outside of New England. Are we too big to be a town? Well, Framingham is now going through the process of looking at their charter and revising their charter and trying to, and they'll eventually vote on whether or not to become a city. And they have 65,000 people.
They're the biggest town in the country, am I correct? Or at one time they were.
Yes. The Andover or North Andover, one of them, 30,000 people, they still have open town meeting. So that means bringing a lot of people into the room to have a discussion. Representative town meeting, I think, works well, and I'm a believer because it gives everyone a chance to participate.
I agree. I do agree with you. I like the concept of democracy in the, it's much more well defined. It's just that Burlington has grown so much, I don't know. But I get the feeling that we manage to control fairly well everything. Having been part of even capital budget, thanks to you, I get a look at some of the expenses and the big purchases and how they are needed. Sometimes the numbers scare me, but I can understand. It's growth. It's Burlington's growth. But we still have room to be democratic, which is great.
Well, I think that's very true. I think that the nice thing is that as a community, more people have a say.
Yeah.
When you have a city, very few people have any input into decisions. You know, it's generally decisions are made by a mayor.
Yeah.
Or a mayor and a city council, maybe.
Or a mayor
So
and
there's
city
maybe
council.
10 people.
Yeah.
But city councils
Yeah.
generally don't have that much power. It's all, it's in the mayor.
They approve the budget, that's really it, correct?
Right, and do we really have the residential population that warrants having a mayor? We may have a lot of people who come and go into office buildings every day, but they don't really have a stake in the town. And it's the residents who do. And ultimately, it would be up to the residents to decide, yes, we want to change our form of government, or you know, we're happy with what we have.
I hope at this point that we don't. I just as soon stay. I still have that community feeling about Burlington, you know.
And it works. I mean, Burlington
very-
is successful.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say it works.
Yeah,
You know,
it does.
Burlington's a successful
It
community.
does. There are problems, I'm sure there are, in whether it's responses or whatnot. to small issues. But in general, the whole thing works, and you're a big part of it. That's great.
Well, this is a very informal sample, but if you think about it, we've got 5 people on this stage right now that we're all frequent voters based on the fact that we're involved. And all 5 of us, I think, are in agreement that we don't want it to change. We still want to be a town. We don't want to be a city. We're not ready for that. And so I tend to think that you're going to get what you're hoping for, or it's going to remain, at least for now. It's going to stay this way for now.
Oh, I support. I mean, I think having a town meeting is a remarkable thing that we inherited from the history of New England. And there are still towns that have open town meeting, which means anybody can come and vote. You know, so people pack meetings, and it's not quite as organized as what we have, which is representative town meeting. So it's a little more organized. And also our town meeting has a structure and it has committees, so people have ways to participate in a number of ways, not just by sitting in the auditorium at town meeting time. So I like that. We came here tonight to talk about why are there not so many women. I just want to throw out that we also have a very changing demographic in Burlington, and if we got the statistics right, I believe that there's about 22% of our population in Burlington is now South Asian. So that's Indian, Pakistani, Sri Lankan, Bangladeshi, in those countries.
2%.
And yet I don't think we have any elected officials, including the 136 town meeting members who are of South Asian background. And the schools show it. I mean, the schools are clearly increasing in diversity. We have about 40 different languages spoken in the homes of the kids in our schools, and so that means our town has people who speak those languages in their homes. And our town is changing, but our government, even though it's very representative of a certain swath of Burlington, I'd really love to find ways to get people more and more involved. I know that there's a group now called the Indian Americans for Burlington who are trying to get more involved in politics and get more involved in organizations, and I really support that. Just as I'd like to see more women involved in politics in Burlington.
They had great representation in the 4th of July parade.
Yes, I know. They had a great thing. That was great. They did that. Is that the 2nd or the 3rd year they've done that? So, but that's nice. It's for show. But is there anyone voting in town meeting that that
they really are I guess a sleeping dragon waiting to be awoken, because if you think about it, and what's funny is I wonder what's kept the Indian population reluctant to get more involved, because I meet many of them on the playground, and when I'm there with my kids, and it seems like their values are very similar to ours. They care about their families. They, in most instances, I'll see 2 guys and you can tell they're talking about cricket or so their values are very similar to ours. Why haven't they decided to assimilate to the process so that they can have a greater say?
I think it's just a little bit too early. I believe that
20% of the
they
population.
will.
20% of the
I
population.
know, but I wonder how they've been here that long. Do you know what I mean? I just feel that they're not quite ready to get involved. And I base that knowing a neighbor of mine, a very, very, very fine gentleman who happens to live across the way from me. And he's terrific in terms of wanting to get involved in business. His children are involved in the sports. And I wouldn't at all be surprised if in another year or so he decides that he wants to get involved in town meeting. I don't think they just assume that Burlington is here for them. I think they will.
Well, if he lives in your neighborhood, he's in the same precinct as me, and I'd be happy to sign his papers.
Okay.
So getting back to, I guess, one question that I asked the other 2 panelists, were you involved in athletics? I am curious, just on a lighter note. Did you participate in?
When I was growing up, I played field hockey in junior high and high school, not in college. Today I play golf and I walk.
Okay.
Not really athletic, but I got involved in the town because one of my neighbors said, "Oh, Sally, you might enjoy town meeting." So I ran.
Yes, you did.
And then she said, gee, you might enjoy being on the finance committee. So I put my name in. I wasn't appointed to Ways and Means, but I was appointed to the Capital Budget Committee. After a year, I stepped up to be chair, largely, as sometimes happens. No one else wanted to step forward. And I was chair for 3 years, and then someone said to me, oh, you might be interested in the Zoning Board of Appeals or the Land Use Committee. And I decided I would go for the Land Use Committee. And after 2 years, I had the opportunity because nobody else wanted to be chair, and I took it on. I did a lot with the Land Use Committee. I think that for me, and I've done a lot at BCAT. I have had shows on BCAT, both one that was a monthly show for about 4 years, as well as producing other shows or having the occasional show about something in the community. And I'm a member of Toastmasters, so that has given me the more of the confidence that I needed when I got up to speak at town meeting, and simply having to make presentations at town meeting and talk about different zoning things or items that we were putting forward from the Land Use Committee. That took a lot, but I managed to.
You are a poster child for town meeting. My goodness, you've done all of it. That's wonderful.
How long have you been on town meeting?
I was a town meeting member for 17 years.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
she really worked her way up in the ranks and
Yeah.
really did it all.
We
She's
have a
got
way
a
to
nice
go.
generalist background.
Yeah. Yep.
But that's good. I mean, she's seen it from all different aspects, and you can take that with you as moderator, and that's a great resource for the town to have.
I was just thinking, Christine, you must, in your field, in rec, you must see a lot of the different ethnic groups that they get involved pretty much.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm also involved with the Burlington Baseball and Softball Association, and we definitely have all different kinds of participants in that. So, I mean, I think people are active. I think recreation, we try to serve everybody, and I mean, there really is a program for everyone. So, I think it's just a matter of people having the time to get involved, whether it's recreation or a school PTO kind of thing.
Yeah.
And once people find something that they do like and they know they can make a difference, and I don't know if it's with the confidence too, but people come out and they do more. Yeah. And it's not as hard. Like the first time you might get up and speak, like I was involved with my kids' PTOs when they were in elementary school, and the first time you get up and speak, you're like, do I really want to bring this up kind of thing? But you get used to it, and same thing, like the first time you have to go before town meeting, you're like, oh my gosh, what are they going to ask me? They're going to, they're not going to pass this warrant, but it's important and you do it, and it does get easier as time goes on. I mean, coming on BCAT, we had a great time with the Sculpture Park meeting the other time, and when you invited us again, I'm like, it'd be great to come back on and just, get out there and, just get out and talk about stuff and try to be involved.
Nicely said. Very nice. The future of Burlington, in terms of business and residents, do you think I see a lot of, my wife took me on every time she wants a shrub moved or trimmed or whatnot, she'll say, see, I'll show you. And she'll take me on a trip. And there are parts of Burlington that are really lovely. I mean, really very nicely done. Is that, should I feel comfortable that that's going to stay? That's the future. I mean, that's where we're going. We're going to have a lot more happy. And the other part of the question is, we have older citizens. And I remember someone commenting that maybe some of them either downsizing or simply not being able to afford living in Burlington. I don't know, I haven't done any investigating, I haven't heard any figures or anything, but I'm wondering if that is a phenomenon that is taking place. Are you?
Well, we talk about this a lot on the Master Plan Steering Committee, that I mean, and referring back to your question earlier, Burlington is becoming more and more expensive and getting harder and harder for young people to live here, or people who grew up here to live here, or people who are older who may feel they want to downsize to stay in Burlington, be able to afford something. But it's happening all across Massachusetts, or at least in the greater Boston area, and there was just another article about it. So I think those are all issues that our society is dealing with, and I think it's true in Burlington as well. I don't think we're going to solve it tonight. So
we are going to stay as
when you said, you started out by asking about Burlington's future, and I'm very excited about the schools, because when I think of Burlington's future, yes, there's the business and there's the traffic and there's the housing, but I also think about the families and the residents and how we can continue to, that sort of immediately came to mind. How can we make sure that our schools are moving forward as we have new crises, as we have new challenges, as we have a new society that we have to help our kids be prepared for. So
I taught for almost 30 years,
Yep.
Foreign languages, Romance languages in particular. How do you manage to teach 40 languages in school today?
we're not teaching 40 languages in the public schools. There are students who come from families who speak 40 different languages in 40 different homes. That's what the statistic I was
Languages
mentioning.
or dialects?
I couldn't tell you exactly, but there are certainly,
Sounds like a lot of
I
different-
believe there are 1,700 different dialects in India alone. So I can't answer your question. You know.
It is a challenge.
And we
whatever.
have people from Africa, and we have people from the Middle East, and we have people. I met an Iraqi boy when I had a visit to the high school a couple of years ago. We have people from all over the world in
It's
Burlington.
a decent-sized Somali population.
Yep,
moving in,
mhm.
I've heard.
Yeah.
I encourage you. I still think Burlington does a really good job at. Look at the street.
I agree.
Look at the street
I'm
that we
happy.
live on.
My
It's
only-
very residential. It's got a nice residential feel, as is
Yep.
mine.
The division,
But they-
commercial
but
and
they- I think they
residential,
do a
I think
good
that's
job at-
terrific.
so, yeah,
See, I
exactly.
live 5-minute drive from the mall, but I live in a dead end off of a dead end. I think that the town has been laid out nicely, and the Master Plan Steering Committee is talking a lot about preserving those residential areas. But how do you make a town more walkable if everything is across town and not, so it's a challenge as a town to move into the future.
My only regret, I love the ocean.
Right. Gee, can we get a beach in Burlington? It's come up in the Master Plan
as-
Steering
It
Committee,
actually
like,
has.
how
I
could we
used
get a
a
beach?
bicycle to Revere. Anyway.
Yeah.
So
But
okay.
I wouldn't change.
So I guess one last question to just ponder on, and then our time is running out, so we got to
You're
say
kidding.
goodbye. But not just we have one more question.
Okay.
Is it choice that that no women have run for selectmen? Obviously, it is, because if someone wanted to make the choice, they could have. But why have there not? Are there any theories of why that board has gone so long?
Well, if you
without-
think about how many uncontested races there are over the last 10 years, it's a lot of work. It's a huge commitment to run for selectmen, and so it's hard for people to do that. And then if you add on top of that all of women's responsibilities for their families, whether it's their kids or their parents, or all the other ways that women have those responsibilities, I think that kind of adds to it. And then there's stereotypes. I mean, who gets elected to the Board of Selectmen? It tends to be people who are connected in town, and and so if all that is happening, I mean, I think maybe Sonia Rollins was able to do that because her work makes her connected to a lot of people
Yeah.
in town, and and so she was able to use that. So I don't think there's any one answer, but I think overall,
Sonia
Yeah.
Rollins helped me buy and sell a house.
There you
Sonia
go.
Rollins is superwoman.
yeah.
But I mean, like, I would love to have the opportunity to serve as a selectman or selectwoman, however you would want to put it. But I mean, just time-wise, like, if I did it, I would make a full commitment, and
Yeah.
I'd want to do a good job. Like, I'm at the point right now. I mean, I think I have a good balance. I have a supportive husband who helps deal with, like, we've got 3 teenagers. But I think too, no one wants to run for something that they can't. Put 100, I don't want to say 100%, but
Yeah.
100% into. You want to do a good job.
Sure.
You want to be available with the different boards, because just because you're on a board now, There's always subcommittees that
Yeah.
you're on, and that's
Sure.
the stuff that takes up time. Like, people might see us on BCAT, every other week, but
Right.
you've got different subcommittees that take up time, and I think a lot of people just don't have, the time to do it because you want to do a good job. So I think that holds people back too. But
Yeah.
I mean,
No,
in
I
the
agree.
future, you never know
I
what
agree.
happens.
Yeah.
I think also that people, it's hard to run against an incumbent. And unless someone drops out, like happened when
Yep.
you were
Right.
when you were running, it makes it that much more difficult because no one runs against incumbents.
Right.
The
The success rate is very
right,
small.
it's very small. So that makes it difficult. So first you have to get elected, and then you have to understand how much time and energy is involved in holding that position. I know that the planning board takes
Yeah.
an incredible amount of time. Town meeting committees
Yeah.
take a lot of time. And the master plan steering committee. I mean, I'm sure you have subcommittees from the big committee that it all takes time, and people don't always have the time and energy to do that. So it would be great if more people ran for office, and especially if more women and if more diverse, if our boards and town meetings showed some of the diversity in the community, but it takes energy.
Well,
And time.
And time.
I totally agree, and I'm only on one little committee,
and we
and
we applaud these three women and all the women and all the people that serve in town government.
Yep.
So it's been a pleasure. Thank you
Thank
for joining
you.
us and sharing with us your experiences. And
Thanks.
we hope that you'll consider coming back.
All right.
I think we need part two.
Than's for having us.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
So
she's a terrific moderator too.
I think she does a good job. I agree. She's a good facilitator of discussion.
Yep. I'm glad that this was your idea to begin with, and I think it was a good one. I'm really glad that you went through with it.
Every now and then I have a good idea. I have,
Let's-
I have a lot
all
of
right,
bad
let's-
ones.
let's
in
make it
between,
every
but
now.
and then. Every
Oh,
now
we
and
have a
then.
visitor. Hi.
Every now and then I have a good idea.
That's good.
So we do have a visitor, and it's someone that we haven't seen in a really long time.
Hi, Paul.
So I wonder what he's been up to. This guy's like a stranger to us, I feel like. We never get to see him anymore on the panel with us.
Busy. He's busy.
Yeah,
Busy.
right.
Busy. Yeah. Which is good. How
So-
are you?
So let us welcome, for those of you that don't know, because it's been so long since he's joined us, this is our friend Paul Girard, who happens to be running for, well, what have you been up to? Why don't you tell
I've
the
been
audience?
busy. Well, of course, I'm in the background sometimes, helping with directing and all
Often.
sorts of things. But so I'm here almost every time there's a show. But currently, I've taken up running for state representative again in 2016. So it's quite an undertaking, but I'm happy to be doing it, and it's great to be out there again, talking to people and running for state representative again.
So tell us why you decided to get into it.
Well, I'd have to take you back to 2014. So back in 2014, I began to do something that I wish everybody would do, and that's to look at how their elected officials vote.
Good point.
So I began to look at the voting record of our current state rep, and I was just kind of shocked at how this man votes. And I said to myself, is he voting for us or against us? I began to look at just everything, whether it's, you name it, some of the votes, if you were to go look at them. And at that point, I said, you know what? I've got to do something about it. So I decided to hop into the race and collected the signatures and ran for the first time in 2014. And, it was quite an experience and came fairly close to winning, got 48% of the vote. And so this year, I thought about it again, and I said, you know what? It's something I feel like I need to do. And I think, with the support I received in 2014, I think it's a winnable race. So.
Well, good for you. As we've highlighted in the segment before, and we believe in the democratic process, and we like to see contested races. Contested races are healthy. What, in particular, is there an issue that you want to speak to via your candidacy, I know you've come out and said that, you know, the sales tax holiday has been critical. Is there going to be a sales tax holiday this year?
It looks like we may not have one.
Okay.
So it's, I believe there's two representatives, Sean O'Connell and Jeff Deal, who are still trying to push an amendment through, but at this point it looks like we may not have a sales tax holiday.
So, but there's obvious, that's just one day of the year. You know,
weekend, right.
One weekend of the year. What else can you do for us here in Burlington?
There's a lot of things
And
we
Bedford
can do.
for that
Right,
matter.
of
And
course.
Wilmington.
Right. So there's a lot of things that could be done. I mean, if you were to look at some of the votes that have come up, for instance, you know, a simple thing like lowering the sales tax back to 5%. You know, there's 6.25% was raised, I believe that was around, was that 09 or 2011, somewhere around there. You know, we don't need that. We can certainly survive on the 5%, and it's better for businesses, it's better for families to return the sales and the meals tax back to 5%. So that's just one of many things that can be done to improve the lives of people in Massachusetts.
You have been involved in a lot of things here, not the least of which is here, our own programming here, which has been a big part of, you've been a big part of it. But in town, you've done an awful lot of things over the last 2 or 3 years. Last year, 2 years, I should say. You've really done a lot of things. You've been involved. I know you were involved in the landlocked forest. You were doing a lot of things. You're on committees. Tell us about some of the things that you've been.
I do help out with the landlocked forest, so I mean, it's a great area over there. If you haven't been over there, it's lots of trails over there, and there's lots of room for improvement too. You know, a lot of trail work that can be done to clean things up. The mountain bike club does a great job of building some of the trails over there, maintaining things, but there's still a lot of work to be done. So we started a project of cleaning up the meadow over there. There's a meadow that was very overgrown, and we've started, probably it's going to be like a 2-year project to kind of clean that up and restore it to a usable area.
And you go and participate in the
Yes.
cleaning it up?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, does a group pick, like how big is a group that usually goes? Or they
We
take-
had about maybe a dozen volunteers. We did it on a Saturday in April, and we went in with some brush cutters and chainsaws and things, and we just kind of went to town on it. And we got about 50% of it done, but it's a big project. There's this invasive weed in there called bittersweet that's just taken over the whole place, and it's a jungle of weeds. So.
Oh, I think I got those out in my backyard.
Yeah, it's a
sometime.
mess,
Yeah, and
so,
it just kind of
yeah.
takes over. You got to get rid of that early. Yeah.
So that's just
Keep them in your backyard.
yeah, that's just one small area of the landlocked
What
forest.
else have
but
you
there's-
been involved in, Paul? I know you're on some of the committees.
Yeah, I'm on the rules committee. So the rules committee has not been functioning for many years, so we're trying to kind of get it back in a functioning state. So it's kind of a slow process because it, like I said, hasn't been in operation for many years. So we're trying to kind of find our place and see what the roles and responsibilities are of the rules committee, and slowly just you know, see what we can do to improve town meeting.
Are folks going to be seeing you on the road?
I expect they will.
Yeah,
Yes, yeah.
I remember
Yeah.
last time you were,
Yeah.
you did a lot of miles, and
Yeah.
I thought you did a terrific job.
Yeah, that's the way to.
I look forward to you coming into my neighborhood.
How many miles did you do on the 4th of July parade? I saw that
Oh.
you
Oh,
were
that
out there
was
for
good
that.
too. That was really
That was
great.
good. Yeah, well, that's like a 2-mile parade. So,
All right. Well, yeah, you got to do a lot.
Well,
Yeah.
2 miles, but you ran about 4 or 5 miles back here.
Well, it's hard because I stop to talk to people and I look and everybody else is ahead of me, so I got to run to catch up to them. But yeah, that was a good time.
I'm really, I think you're a terrific individual. I couldn't be more honest, more forthright, and someone who is really concerned about representation. And I wish you all the best. I really, and I personally will do anything I can to help you.
Thank you.
You are almost the perfect candidate. I don't want to say almost, but you are the perfect candidate, I think, because you listen. You know how to listen. I think that's important. I think people recognize that. You know, you're not one to tell people what they're about. You listen to them and then make a very judicious decision on how you're going to vote. And I think you will represent the people of Bedford, Burlington, and Wilmington very, very well. So you're on your way, and that's terrific.
I hope to win, and I hope to have the honor to represent the people of Bedford, Burlington, and Wilmington's Precinct 3. So it would be a great honor, and I'm hoping to win this time.
Did you have a kickoff party?
We did. We had a kickoff party at the American
Terrific.
Legion, and
Yeah.
it was a great time. We had special guest State Representative Sean O'Connell came. It was had to give a very inspiring talk, and it was great. We had quite a few people there. It was good.
Yeah, yeah. She's terrific. I had never met her. I heard her speak that night, and she was very, very good. I've heard her on the I think on the radio from time to time. Very, very knowledgeable, and she knows what she is representing. She knows what she's doing. She knows how to go about it. So I'm sure you're going to find some good people in there once you get in there.
That's right. There are some really good ones who are really doing some great things, and you can say sometimes that it's hard to be in the minority party, that you're maybe not going to have that much of an effect, but it's just not the case. I mean, any one person who wants to make a difference and do the right thing can absolutely do that. You don't have to follow the majority. You don't have to do what the speaker tells you to as in relation to voting the party line. You can actually do what's best for the people of your district, which sounds like a novel idea,
Yeah,
but I mean that's the way it's supposed to be. You're supposed to
I don't
be
think it is
representing
like
the
that
people.
right now, but
I noticed that one thing that on the rules committee you've done in town meeting is I feel like there's been an advocacy for more transparency.
Right.
And one of the things that I saw a Lowell Sun article the other day that in the budget the legislature tried to slip some terminology that could have opened up the doors to driver's license for illegal immigrants. Do you think that if that's obviously a nationally a controversial measure? Do you think that regardless of where one stands on that issue, that it should have been brought to an up or down vote on that issue rather than slid into a larger bill?
Of course, that's the reason why it would be snuck in like that, because it would never pass, and the public outcry against it would be tremendous. That's why they try to slip those things in at the 11th hour, hoping to open up the door on something like that, because it's not going to, I mean, the public is not in favor of that. I have not talked to one person who's in favor of people who are not here legally getting driver's licenses.
When you say the 11th hour, you really hit it on the head, because the legislature tried to slide that provision in as we went into July 4th weekend.
That's right.
When nobody was paying attention. I know I wasn't really. I
Right.
read the Sun this week, but I mean, that's a week after the 4th of July weekend. I wasn't paying close attention, so.
I believe it was a state senator from Lynn who tried to slip that in. I think his name was McGee. And, people are ready to go home for the 4th of July holiday, and then they slip in this little amendment, and fortunately it was caught. And the governor has amended the language, and hopefully that the loophole will be closed up, and that won't happen. But it takes vigilance, it takes people who care, it takes people who are watching everything that goes into the budget. And that's the type of people we need there, not somebody who just votes according to the party line, with the leadership. We need somebody who's actually going to take an interest in what's best for the people they represent, and that's what we're sorely lacking.
And what's interesting is it was one state legislator, one state rep who bothered to read the legislation, that noticed it and shined a light on the issue.
That's right.
So
there to my point, one person can make a difference, and that affects the whole state. That is the one state representative who can affect the whole state by actually taking the time to watch everything going into the budget.
how can folks meet you?
Well, they can go to my website, paulgerard.com, or they can, actually, easy way to find it is paulforstaterep.com. That will redirect you to paulgerard.com. They can, I hope to meet many of them door to door. They can go to Facebook, Paul for State Rep on Facebook, and they can sign up there, and if they like the page, they can be updated on events. And if I'm around, they can feel free to give me a call. My number's in the phone book, so I'm available. Love to meet everyone.
All right, that's terrific. I don't know.
we still got a couple of minutes left. We've got a couple of minutes left.
Good.
So it sounds like you're going to have a busy summer. Not a lot of cookouts and sitting by the pool for you.
Well, it's going to be a busy summer and fall, but I suspect it'll be worthwhile. So I'm looking forward to meeting a lot of people. And, when I talk to people, it's like the message resonates with them. And it's not like, most people they talk to, they're not in favor of funding sanctuary cities. They're not in favor of a lot of these things that, it's outlandish to most of us that we would have driver's licenses for illegals, that to receive public benefits we wouldn't require a valid social security number. And you'd be surprised at these things, but these things have been voted down by our legislature.
We actually had, someone who, a couple of years ago come in here that I thought was actually a good spokesperson for a lot of the stuff that goes on and the EBT reform that's needed. When we had Suzanne Bump from in here a couple of years ago, in her office as the state auditor, she uncovered a lot of inefficiency and duplicate, this, that, and the other thing that, obviously she is of a different party than Paul, but there are definitely people that you could partner with to try and move for just a greater level of accountability.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, there's just lots of areas that can be cleaned up. Another one that's been in the news lately is the MBTA.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, that money room.
It's unbelievable. And, there was a recent vote to make the meeting minutes public, and they voted against it, including our state rep. Why wouldn't you want to shine some light on the MBTA?
Exactly.
It's just goes. So these are the type of things I'm saying when I look at the voting record of our state rep. I say, are you voting for us or against us?
Where can you find the voting record?
There's a fantastic organization called Massachusetts Fiscal Alliance, and they have a website called the Mass Fiscal Scorecard. If you just Google that, it'll bring you right to it, Mass Fiscal Scorecard. You put in any legislator's name in Massachusetts, and it will show you their entire voting record. It's very simple. Oh. It's a fantastic resource, so I encourage everybody to look at the voting record of their legislators.
Well, Paul, we're going to have you come back a few more times, or at least one more time before Election Day, but it sounds like we're going to have a very robust discussion in the towns of Burlington, Bedford, and Wilmington between now and Election Day. So it's not all at the national level. There's stuff going on here, so stay tuned to Burlington Beyond, and we look forward to sharing with you all the goings on around town. Have a great night, everyone. Thank you for joining us.